Our group of friends decided to get out of the city for the summer to escape the hustle and bustle, the heat, or maybe all of those things. 2 cars, 8 people, and 6 kilograms of meat. I don't remember who came up with the idea, but I do remember telling my friend Seryoga to get into the car he was meant to be in. The whole reason for this trip was that Masha had a new classmate. I was drawn to Lana from the moment I saw her. She had bright red hair, a flawless smile, and a calm, thoughtful mind. I wanted to get to know her better. Once we got there, things went on as they always did. We laid out blankets and set up the barbecue. The guys and I went to find dry branches while the women cut vegetables. There were 4 guys, me, Seryoga, Artyom, and Dennis, and 4 girls, Lana, Masha, Irina, and another girl. I don't remember if her name was Anya or Tanya. She came with Artyom, but he was constantly with the other girl. Irina, a longtime friend of ours, was just that, a friend. So that whole day, my attention was completely on Lana. She was interesting, attractive, and probably single, and I wasn't tied down either. What a coincidence, right? Dennis turned on some music in his car. Seryoga was at the barbecue. Some people were drinking beer, others had Coke. I decided to stay sober to make a good impression on her. The redhead wasn't drinking. She was just munching on cucumbers. Masha left her alone and was always next to Seryoga. Artyom tried to talk to Lana like he usually did, but she quickly reminded him who he came with. "You're all right," she said. "That was my chance. How are you finding it here?" I asked, walking over to the log where she was sitting. "It's really nice," she replied. "I love spending time near the forest. It's like a weight is lifted off my shoulders. I'd love to spend more time in nature. To be honest, the city wears me out." "Me too," I said. Lana looked at me with interest. "Do you go hiking often?" "Yes, I love mushroom picking." I was lying, of course. In reality, I don't like wild places. The midges, mosquitoes, the trash. I hated it when my dad dragged me mushroom picking as a kid. Besides, I can't imagine spending several nights in a tent in the forest. I can't stand not being able to take a shower. My morning has to start with one. I didn't have the courage to be honest, and she just replied, "I see." I backed off and didn't press her with more questions. Then I decided to change the subject. And just like that, we had something in common. I took over for Seryoga at the grill for a short time, then went back to her. She was still sitting on the same log, looking sadly at the others. I saw Lana turn to me. The first thing that came to my mind was, "Is your hair color natural?" "I touch it up a bit," she said. "But yes, I'm a redhead." "It's beautiful," I said, smiling. "Go away." "You're making me blush." A faint blush spread across her pale cheeks. "Why so quiet?" I asked, "Are you all right?" "It's too loud," the girl said quietly. "Relaxing with a group isn't for me. My friend just invited me. I thought we'd just sit and listen to the birds." "We could take a walk, just the 2 of us, where it's quiet if you'd like," I offered, not with much enthusiasm. Why would she want to be alone with a stranger? But she clearly agreed. "Let's just wait a bit so it's not awkward for the others," she said. "I'd love to see what's in the forest over there." It sounded like a promise. "Is it a deal?" I asked, leaving her alone so as not to seem pushy. Irina ran over to me and suggested we play frisbee. We played for a bit, then I noticed Lana wasn't there. The spot was empty. Masha was with Seryoga. Artyom was with his girlfriend. Dennis was engrossed in a phone call. The girl had disappeared. I thought she'd come back soon. But as I kept waiting, too much time passed. Then I asked my friends, "Hey guys, where's Lana?" "Wasn't she just here?" Only Artyom asked. "Masha, have you seen Lana?" I asked her friend. "Oh, maybe she went off to do something," Masha said, shrugging her shoulders as if she hadn't noticed her friend was gone. "And what do you want?" Masha asked with irritation. "She's been gone for 40 minutes. And why are you keeping such a close eye on her?" I had to justify myself. "I'm not. I just noticed she disappeared somewhere. I'll call her right now." "Guys, turn the music down," Masha shouted, taking out her phone. A ringtone and vibration came from nearby. I found Lana's phone in the grass next to the log. "Hey everyone, listen up. Has anyone seen my friend Lana?" Masha yelled, feigning concern. But no one had paid attention to where she went. After that, I suggested, "Masha, let's go look for her." "Lana's not a child," she replied with a sneer. "What's the big deal? If you want, go look." Seryoga backed her up. Only Irina offered to help. "I'll come with you," she said. We went into the forest. The others kept on having fun. I already had a bad feeling. People don't just leave without saying anything. Irina and I walked along the path. It was getting overgrown. There were thickets and fallen trees everywhere, as if no one had passed through there yet. I realized we wouldn't get very far. "This is so strange," Irina said. She left without telling anyone anything. "And she left her phone too," I added, then yelled, "Lana!" There was no answer. My friend stopped where the path ended and asked hopefully, "Maybe she's back already." It was getting close to sunset. We decided to stop searching and go back to our friends. They were still having fun. "Lana's not back?" I asked Masha. "Nope," she replied, turning to Seryoga. The sun was going down and it was getting colder. The others were slowly starting to pack up. Feeling that the party was over, I reminded my friends, "Hey guys, we have a missing person actually. Are we just going to pack up and leave?" Then Masha said, "Ram, Lana's a little bit off." It's no surprise she just left and forgot her phone. I couldn't understand what off meant. Seryoga's girlfriend gestured with her hands and said, "She's all spiritual, not of this world. She sometimes does weird things like that. Basically, she might just wander around the city in the rain, or something didn't sit right with her. She just left." "I'm sure Lana spends most of her time at home?" I wondered. What if that's not the case? Masha probably knew her friend better. But why did Lana say she didn't want to make it awkward for the guys? Was it just a polite way of refusing to take a walk with me? The next evening, Masha texted me. "Hi, how are you doing? Have you found your friend?" "Hey," I replied. I went to her place, but she didn't answer. My fear came back. I nervously typed a message. "So something happened to her?" Masha ignored the question. It seemed my worries were getting on her nerves. A few more days passed. I went on with my life, not asking about anything. Then Masha called and started babbling. "Ram, listen up." "You were right. Lana is missing. They've already called the police and her mom keeps calling me, asking me to get her daughter back. I don't know what to do. My nerves are shot. Why are they blaming me for this? I'm not her keeper." My heart was pounding in my stomach. I knew we were in serious trouble. We were the last people to see the girl. We hadn't taken any action until we found her phone. Irina and I did look for her. While it doesn't ease my conscience, it does justify us a little. I started looking for volunteers for a search party before the news even broke. Interestingly, only Irina and Dennis showed up from our group. The rest just bailed. Seryoga said that poor Masha was already hysterical and couldn't handle going into the forest. We had to hurry. It had been several days since she disappeared. I hoped nothing serious had happened to her. At 3 in the afternoon, Irina, myself, and 3 other people, Lana's older brother Kirill and his friends, arrived at the location to assist the rescuers. We went into the thicket. We acted without a plan, just deciding to check places the rescuers hadn't reached yet. And the forest was like this. The farther you went, the scarier it got. There were no paths, just thick undergrowth and ravines. As I climbed over fallen trees, I could feel the rotting trunks crumble under my feet. I scratched up my hands while climbing around in there. We screamed her name until our throats were raw, but only the crows heard our calls. They were cawing in the distance. Irina and I moved a little away from the guys. I had to help her move through the debris. I thought, oh, I hope they don't get lost in this creepy forest. Hearing this, one of the men shot back and yelled with wide eyes, "She's over there." The missing girl's brother quickly asked, "Is she alive?" The distressed guy shook his head. He was pale and trembling with horror. My last bit of hope died. I went to look while Irina stayed put. The image will stay with me forever. There was an empty clearing with dry trees. The girl lay in the fetal position in a dirty dress as if she had fallen asleep on a bed of thick moss. Fiery red hair, pale skin, and a tiny purple flower between her fingers. I don't know the name of it. Bare scratched feet, little cuts, dried mud on her hands. She had obviously fought her way through the thicket. We all froze, watching this nightmare unfold, and the crows were cawing loudly above us. It was like they were upset with our presence. What's more, that dead clearing was not far from the edge of the forest. Why couldn't she find her way out? I walked away from there in horror. I was certain someone had killed Lana, but I was wrong. The medical examiners later determined there were no signs of foul play. The girl had died of dehydration just 10 hours before she was found. So she had been in the forest for days. Now my conscience is killing me. I could have convinced my friends that she had to be out there, or I could have called the rescuers myself. That Masha was unbelievable. She dragged her to the barbecue, then abandoned her. With friends like that, who needs enemies? She even showed up at the funeral and sobbed uncontrollably. Lana's mother was screaming, "It's all because of her. How dare she show her face here?" Now she's standing there and crying. They should have cut all her hair off. "Mom, calm down," her older son said to her. "I'll tell her to leave." "Tell her to never show her face to me again," the woman added. Someone loudly told Masha to leave the funeral. Even though I was actively involved in the search, I got my share of side eyes and silent blame. I think it was deserved. This tragic story should have ended there, but it was only just beginning. After the funeral, I had a nightmare. I was alone in the yard of my house. There was nothing around, as if everyone had disappeared. And the whole scene was gray. "Hey, Roma," the redhead suddenly said. She was the only splash of color in this unreal world. I was surprised when I asked, "Lana, where have you been?" Because in the dream, I didn't remember what had happened. "Sorry, I bailed on our walk," she said with a sense of guilt. I was called and I had to leave. It was necessary. "It's okay," I replied. "How are you doing?" she asked. "Not good." "What happened?" I asked. "I'm lying in the wrong place," she whispered. Then everything came back to me. The body in the forest, the funeral, my family's tears. But it was hard for me to believe my own memories. She was right in front of me. And I asked, "Lana, wait, didn't you die?" "I'm lying in the wrong place," she screamed, her mouth wide open, looking me in the eyes. I woke up with a terrible feeling. The dead girl was still screaming. I'd always thought it was foolish to believe in prophetic dreams, but it kept happening again and again. That same day, I learned of a horrifying event. I got a call from the police station asking for an interview. It turned out that Lana's grave had been desecrated. Someone had dug it up, broken the coffin, and stolen the body. I had never heard of such a horror before. I didn't have to spend long proving I wasn't involved. The stolen body was found quickly. The police decided to check the dead clearing in the forest, and the deceased was found in the same position and in the same spot. The whole body was covered in grave dirt and arranged neatly. Who could have done such a thing? Although I didn't know the details of the investigation, I found out that a second funeral was held the next day with no one invited. I was deeply shaken by the whole thing. I can't even imagine what her loved ones were going through. In those days, I didn't want to be alone, but I also didn't want to see Masha or the other friends. I felt Irina was the only one with a heart. We met up at a coffee shop and just sat, each lost in our own thoughts. Then she said, "You look like you've seen a ghost." "Lana obviously thought a lot of you." "We weren't even very close, Irina," I replied. She looked at her cup and said, "The whole situation is just horrible. She was probably murdered. Who would dig up a dead body?" I decided to tell her about my nightmare. I can't forget a single one of them. Lana just appeared in a dream saying she was in the wrong place, and the next day, you know what happened. Seeing my wide-eyed look, Irina said, "Holy crap." "What?" "I had the exact same dream," she replied. "What?" I couldn't believe it. "Not exactly the same, but similar," she clarified. I saw Lana and she said, "I'm not where I'm supposed to be." And she wasn't happy about it. Who isn't happy? I asked, surprised. She mentioned someone in my dream too and said she was called away. "I don't know," Irina shrugged. "I thought it was just a dream that she appeared to us both." I had no answer. From then on, I couldn't stop thinking about it, unable to let go of the unsolved mystery. I even went back to the spot one evening. I don't know why myself. I felt obsessed. I went into the forest. I walked through ravines and debris until I reached the dead clearing. It was eerie to see the imprint of a body still there on the thick moss. The smell of decay still hung in the air. The sunset painted the sky in red hues, and the crows continued their frantic cawing. I felt like I had stepped into an unfamiliar otherworldly realm. Unable to stand the birds cawing, I yelled, "Just shut up." And then something unexpected happened. The crows began to fly down from the branches and circle around me. Their talons scratched my skin and their wings beat against my face. I knocked one of the stupid birds to the ground as I fended them off. After that, they shot back up and circled above the dead trees. I immediately noticed someone at the edge of the clearing, and my first instinct was to run. I was being watched. It was a tall shadow. "Who are you?" I yelled. Immediately, the shadow disappeared into the dense thicket. I ran after the figure, though I don't remember what was going through my head at that moment. I yelled, "Wait!" The shadow seemed to dissolve into the forest. Someone had gotten away from me. I went back home. I tried to call the station, but couldn't bring myself to do it. I was afraid the police would be interested in what I was doing in the forest. I decided I would only answer if they asked. Another horrifying piece of news came the next morning. The body was stolen from the grave again. They didn't even dig it up completely. Pieces of the coffin were sticking out of the ground, but the body was gone. The police had also anticipated something like this. Only 2 officers were on duty at the cemetery, but they didn't see a thing. Someone walked right past them, stole the body, and disappeared. The dead girl was found in the same clearing in the forest. It was some kind of mockery of the body, which was rotting. The relatives decided to cremate Lana. They put an empty coffin in the grave and decided to watch who would show up. Lana's brother told me about it in secret. He trusted me. I asked to be there for the final farewell. I wanted to attend the ceremony to put this story behind me. They decided not to postpone it. That same evening, the body was taken to the crematorium. Only I, Kirill, and the deceased's mother were there. The woman asked an employee to see her daughter one last time. Even though I was sitting far away, I could smell the rotting body. The mother's tears streamed down her face as she asked the employee to close the door. We stayed sitting in the ceremonial hall as the coffin was wheeled away. I decided to stay until I heard that it was all over. However, an hour and a half later, a crematorium employee came to us. "She won't burn," he said. He looked as if he couldn't believe his own words. We didn't believe him either. "Explain," Lana's brother said. "Your deceased won't burn," the man repeated, running a hand through his damp hair. The coffin and clothes had burned, but the body remained, even though it was charred. "I've never seen anything like this in 20 years. It's horrifying. What are you talking about?" I yelled, losing it. The crematorium worker was completely serious. "I'm telling the truth. What about your liver?" Lana's mother asked. "My liver's fine," the frightened man replied. "Listen, I'm a superstitious man. I don't need any of this, and I don't want your money. Take the deceased." I did all I could. "This is an unholy business." Then he backed away and took the body to the ceremonial hall. Lana lay on a metal table, charred and naked. The morgue employee wouldn't talk to us anymore. He disappeared, waiting for us to leave. It was late in the evening. Me, her brother, and a woman who was in hysterics in the crematorium. "What is this?" she screamed, pulling at her hair. I can't even say goodbye to my daughter. Although he was also in shock, Kirill was thinking a little more clearly. "What do we do?" he asked. "Pour concrete over the grave." "Let's just wait," I said in response. I felt that something was about to happen. I was certain there was something supernatural going on. They wouldn't let Lana burn in fire or rot in the earth. We remained in the ceremonial hall for a long time. Kirill was frozen in silence. The mother's breathing was hoarse. She had no strength left to cry. I thought we were waiting for someone to show up. I had encountered a forest entity that wanted the girl back, but it wasn't like that at all. Around midnight, Lana suddenly rose. The corpse sat up and lowered herself to the floor. Lana's mother screamed, her voice a broken sound. I couldn't blink as I watched it. Something unimaginable was happening right before our eyes. The girl stood up and headed for the exit. She moved with a jerky motion. The sight was utterly horrifying. The moaning corpse approached the doors. Her head wobbled on her body. "Lenochka, my daughter, wait, where are you going?" Her mother jumped out of her chair and almost ran after her. "Don't touch her, let her go, let her leave," I yelled, grabbing her by the shoulder. "How can I let her go?" "That's my daughter," she cried before collapsing. Lana's brother and I watched as the deceased walked out into the street and vanished into the darkness. I was certain she was going back to the forest, to her place. She was called again. I can only offer one explanation. This girl became the chosen one of some inhabitant of the thicket, a being who will remain forever unknown. He didn't want to give her up and claimed her for himself. Lana's family and I agreed not to tell anyone about this. We decided to stop carrying her body all over the place. It seemed she wanted to stay on the dead clearing herself, on her bed of moss, surrounded by dry trees and a flock of calm crows. I hope her soul is now at peace. She stayed in the forest. It seemed she was always drawn there, far from the noisy city. In our world, we were never able to give her what she was truly looking for. The girl went to her new home,